Welcome to Remaking of Me podcast. Today I'm joined by DK Kang, author, wellness advocate, and faithful fighter who teaches gratitude, and growth through real life adversity. DK doesn't just talk about resilience, he lives it. And once again, it's really a pleasure having you on the show, DK Kang.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So, DK, in one sentence, what challenge shaped you into who you are today?
I think a challenge that shaped me that I'm who I am today. So back in 2024, this was January, my wife gets diagnosed with breast cancer. And then my wife is going to start a cancer treatment in February of 2024. And then I'm reading this book called The Breast Cancer Husband. And it pretty much says, like, be there for your wife and let your employer know kind of what's going on to have like a more flexible work schedule. And so February 1st comes around, I talked to my three managers at the job that I was at, and I was like, hey, this is what's going on. I like to have flexible work schedule. I'll work weekends, I'll work nights, whatever it is to make up my time. And then they said, yeah, that's fine. And then exactly a week after that, they decided to lay me off. And so during that time, my wife is starting cancer treatments. My wife has already quit her job at that point. So now we have no income coming in. And as my wife started her first treatment of chemo, and we got a bill for that first chemo without health insurance, was about $75,000 US. So, but I mean, I made a bunch of phone calls, and we got a different type of insurance, and we didn't have to pay that. But we went about 10 months with no income. So taking her to cancer treatments, looking for jobs. So that's something that kind of defined who I am today due to, life happens, life circumstances,
Wow.
And I'm pretty sure I'm not the only one that has gone through this. There's multiple people that has gone through cancer, multiple people that has gone through job loss, but we went through it at the same time. So currently my wife is cancer free. So it's a year-long treatment.
Wow.
From February 2024 to February 2025. So faith is a big part of my life and my wife's life as well. And, I came home, I told my wife, like, hey, I got laid off. And then, we prayed but we didn't ask God, we didn't ask the question of, why is this happening to us? Why does my wife get cancer? Why do I lose my job in a short amount of time? We asked the question, why not us? And who can we help? And so during that time, as I'm taking my wife to appointments, I'm just journaling one day, just journaling my thoughts, my frustrations, things like that. But then that question always came back of, who can we help? And so my journaling turned into a book that I wrote during, job loss during my wife's cancer battle. And it's called Mindset Metamorphosis. And basically it's how to change your mindset when things are going the wrong way, or, life is punching you in the face and life knocks you down. And it's how to get back up and to get unstuck and move forward and kind of help pick yourself up, help you kind of deal with the stress of, whether it is life or job loss or cancer or all the above. So that book, I was writing it and I published it, and yeah, it's basically just a book because it was a book for me as well. It helped me to kind of get through this dark time. I talk about meditation, how it helped me kind of de-stress. I talk about journal writing, how it goes from your mind to your hand on paper and thinking like, oh, this is what I'm really feeling, or okay, this is what to do next. Breath work. I did a lot of breathing exercises that helped me deal with the stress. I did a lot of sleep things. I shut down like all electronic devices like an hour before I go to bed, so I can get back into my sleep rhythm. I talk about exercise. Exercise is super important to help with stress and and things like that. So yeah, I mean that book kind of came about because for me was I just want to help people dealing with life circumstances when
amazing. Wow, that was really a whole lot. So when everything started collapsing at once, your family, finance, and futures, what was the very first things you had to get control of internally?
What I had to control internally first. I mean, I think it goes back to my mind. I could have easily said that, oh, I'm not good enough, or, life is against me and, God's against me. So for me, I had to get my mind right. I had to, focus on what this all meant. Like for me, it goes back to a scripture I think of. It's in James. It says, "Consider it pure joy whenever you face many trials and temptations and
Yeah,
situations, things like that, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance." So for me, I had to, get my mind straight and fix my mind and my thoughts on God and on scripture. And that really helped me to like fix the first thing was the internal thing, to really look outward and to look at like, yeah, going back to who can we help? So, yeah.
amazing. We talk about resilience as a daily decision, not a personality trait. What does that actually look like on ordinary hard day?
Resilience is like it's something you build. It's like a muscle.
Yeah,
You don't just suddenly wake up and you're like, oh, I'm resilient. So
yeah,
for me, I've done martial arts all my life, and with any type of sports or fitness or anything like that, you build resilience by doing something that's like kind of difficult or something challenging. But then you kind of build like almost like an armor. Like let's say you can only do one push up, but now you know a week later you can do like two or three now. But you've built that resilience because you keep going forward. And it's the same thing with life. When life is kind of punching you in the face or knocking you down, you start building that resilience muscle. And then yeah, something might be hard today, but then, a year from now, you're like, I'm dealing with something even more harder now. But then you slowly build your resilience up by doing these small, harder things, these challenging things. And it helps you become the person that you're going to be to face that bigger challenge.
amazing. You often talk about our gratitude in fire. How do you practice gratitude without pretending that pain isn't real?
Yeah, I think gratitude is something that we as human beings don't practice enough. I think it's great to have gratitude when things are going great, right? When life is like everything is just amazing, life is just great. But what about when those times when, yeah, when life kind of punches you in the face or knocks you down? Is do we seek that gratitude? And for us, we had to just be grateful for the little things. Like for me was when my wife was going through her cancer treatment, was I'll just say like, oh, my wife smiled today. I'm grateful for that. I'm
Hmm.
grateful for that modern medicine. I'm grateful for the doctors that were able to take care of her. And something my wife and I we practice every single day, and I wrote this in my book as well, is practice three things that you're grateful for each day. And for us, it was something simple. It was like just the breath in our lungs every day, because we had the uncertainty of, well, my wife could be gone today or tomorrow with having cancer. And so yeah, I mean, I think having gratitude in the fire, it really kind of transforms that your thinking pattern of like there are good things in life to look forward to, and that there are good things that are happening in your life. You just have to look for it
Hmm.
and be grateful for that, because there's
Yeah,
something I always say is there's someone else out there that has it worse than I do.
yeah, so true.
I think there was
Yeah.
another quote. I think Paul Walker said this. He said, "Someone is lying in a hospital bed, wishing that they had the life that you have." It doesn't take any effort to have gratitude, and I think we should all practice, gratitude, whether in the
Yeah,
fire or whether it be just in the daily life.
amazing, amazing. See the good in everything you're going through, because definitely someone else is having it worse than that particular stage. Yeah, and that's really amazing stance. So, yeah, start gratitude for. Yeah, thank you. So, walking through your wife cancer journey changed you as a husband. What did it teach you about leadership, love, and showing up when you're exhausted?
Yeah, I think caregiving for a cancer patient, what it taught me to be a leadership is just to serve. I think about Jesus. Jesus didn't
Yeah.
come to be worshipped; he came to serve. He came to serve people. And for me, I think leadership is not for one that is barking a bunch of orders, but like a leader is one that will like get their hands dirty. It was I would take my wife to all her appointments, and I would talk to the doctors, and I would make cancer fighting smoothies. And yeah, so for me, I think it was just servitude is what leadership is. Going back to Jesus, he's my example of what a leader should be and what a leader is. That's definitely taught me as a leader is just to continue to serve, even if I'm exhausted, because there were times when Jesus was exhausted and yet still served. And so, yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I'm trying to be like Jesus, right?
Yeah, thank you so much. And that was really, really amazing. Being that, yeah, it teach you to how to serve and yeah, stay. So losing your job right after asking for flexibility could have broken your identity. How did you stop the moment from redefining you?
Yeah, I think so many people put their identity in their work, but your job is just a job, and jobs come and go. There's a million jobs out there, maybe more than that, or whatever. And so for me, I had to look at my job as it's not who I am. It's not part of my identity.
Hmm.
It's just what I do. And so, yeah, I think just looking at it as the job doesn't define me because there's so many other jobs out there. What I'm defined is by my character and how I show up every day for the people I love. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm not bitter. I know that it's
Yeah.
very work is, I became a liability, so asking for flexible work schedule, and I get it. It's business, and so I don't hold anything against the company that I was working for, but it didn't define like my identity. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Amazing. I'm glad that I did it. So faith is central to your life. And what does faith look like practically when prayer aren't answered quickly and strength feel limited?
I think faith looks like practical. I mean, you got to read. You got to read the
Yeah.
Bible, and you got to, or whatever faith that you're practicing, but you also had to put it into practice, So for me, it's Christianity. So there's three things that pretty much I try to follow in my life is, and Jesus summed it up. He says, love God with all your heart, mind, body, and soul, and then love your neighbor, but then also
So,
love. And so, for me, my morning routine is I wake up, first thing I do, I brush my teeth, whatever, wash my face. But after that, I read the Bible. That's part of my morning routine because it helps me be grounded and it helps me to like look at the bigger picture of like, okay, I'm not doing this by myself, and there's other people out there that need God, that need Jesus. And so for me, it just really brings back to me like what my roots are and to really be grounded in that. Because if I'm not, then I'm just kind of doing my own thing. And
yeah.
then my own wisdom is not, it's not going to God's plans or God's will because I'm trying to do my own thing. And so for me, my morning routine is just to be still, pray, read, and just spend time with God because God says love God first and then love people and then love yourself. So, yeah, I mean, I think, whatever faith you're practicing, you have to read whatever faith you're practicing, but also do it. Put it into practice. What good is it? All this head knowledge. Like if you're reading like a nonfiction book or a business book or finance book, if you just read it and do nothing, well, then what was the point of reading it? You're just kind of wasting your
Yeah.
time then. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much, DK. I think it's really amazing just hearing your perspective of it. Being that, especially Christianity, reading the word alone actually gets to empower you and give you more places to actually more like yeah, hang your strength on being that yeah the word is enlightens and actually give you a whole lot of perspective. Yeah, amazing. So for someone listening right now who feel like their dream just died, what is the very first step they can take to begin rebuilding?
Yeah, so this is something that I practice because for my wife and I, we've had many dreams pretty much die. So before my wife got cancer, we were trying to have kids, but we couldn't. My wife had some health issues, and then she had surgeries, things like that. And then pretty much that kind of sealed our fate of having children. And so I think for me, what helps me is someone that's like, their dreams die. I call it the three A's. And the first A is acknowledge. Acknowledge, like, hey, whatever you're feeling or whatever you're going through. The second A is action. Take some sort of action of what the acknowledgement that you have. Like so for us was we acknowledged that going back to the cancer part. We acknowledged my wife had cancer. We took action of reading books and changing our nutrition and putting in cancer fighting ingredients into our diet. And then the third A is adjust. So as we're reading some cancer books, a cancer book said like read like they were saying like drink 64 ounces of carrot juice. And this guy called Chris Wark, he wrote a book called Chris Beat Cancer, and that's what he was doing was drinking carrot juice 64 ounces every single day. But I was like, well, my wife is like small. She can't drink 64 ounces.
Yeah.
So we had to adjust of like, all right, maybe we can do like 25 or 30 ounces, half of what he was talking about. And so, yeah, so we acknowledged we had cancer, and then we took action on learning about cancer and what people did and how they beat it. And then we adjusted to what was kind of good for us. So that was the
Yeah,
3A.
yeah, amazing. Acknowledge actions and are just amazing. Thank you so much for the blueprint. So for my audience who actually want to connect with you, who want to hear more from you and who want to reach out, where can they reach out and where is the best platform to do this?
Yeah, so you can go to my website, dkkang.com. And if you sign up for my newsletter, I'm actually giving away the first chapter of my mindset book for as a free download. And my newsletter is just about my life and life stories and the lessons that I learned from them. And to get a hold of me, it's dk@dkkang.com is my email. I usually respond about 2 to 3 days. I'm on all social media platforms. I don't usually respond. I just post there,
Yeah,
but email is the best way to get a hold of me. And at the end of the day, for me, I just want to help people. I know people are going through tough times, and I know life knocks people down. And at the end of the day, I just want to be able to help in any way I can because I've lived it. I've been there. I'm still going through it. Yeah, my wife is cancer free, but because we didn't have any income for 10 months, we accrued about $60,000 worth of medical debt and living expenses. So yeah, but I mean, I'm still trying to pull myself out of it, but I'm taking that action. But at the end of the day, I just want to be able to help people in any way I can.
yeah, amazing, amazing. This is really a whole lot. The fact that you went through this particular period that have break so many persons, and the fact that you're able to come out from it, not just coming out from it, but being that you're able to craft a purpose out of it, and even wrote your book, being able to create something from it that is going to better others who go through it, other than wondering and keep asking where is God in all of this. It's really amazing just hearing your perspective. I'm so glad to have you on the show. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you for showing us that strength isn't about avoiding hardship. It's about choosing growth in the middle of it all. Listener, you can actually visit our dkkang.com. I'll sign up for DK newsletter and receive a free chapter from Mindset Metamorphosis to start applying those tools right away. It's really a pleasure having you on the show. DK.
Thank you.